Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age. Semi-streamlined playthrough, walkthrough, sort of thing. I am once again recording this a bit too late, so apologies if it's not done the old HD render by the time you watch this, but it should be fine in a couple more hours. We're still on the legendary items grind. So if you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me. We're going to actually try and see the victory screen today, just something to do while we wait for legendary stuff to happen. So yeah, if you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me, that would be great, and then we'll jump straight into it, shall we? So yes, a brief recap. We are grinding up to low density structure productivity 15, so that with 4 legendary productivity modules in a foundry, our low density structures will hit 300% productivity. So we're 1 and a bit levels away, but obviously this is 437,000 science per minute and our effective science per minute is 2,000. So we've got some time to kill. So I thought, why not use this time to build a ship that can start doing Promethium science farming. Because this research productivity 1 with Promethium science packs makes each one of your science packs worth 10% more per science. It's just more science per science, folks. It's just basic math. So we'll do that, and then hopefully by the time we've got all that sorted. Ding. We're still on the dings, by the way, people. So be ready for the dings. The dings is the egg gambling. I've heard some conflicting opinions about whether egg gambling is better for you than just straight up recycling, upcycling productivity modules. And it's an interesting idea. I might explore that. The problem is that if I want to keep, I could just keep epic quality eggs as well, right? Purple quality eggs. I could just keep those as well. But then I would also have to somehow make epic quality stuff, because what we've elected to do is we've elected to just bypass all of it, and all of our modules come from legendary quality ingredients, so we're not gambling for these anymore, we just have these. I suppose there's something to be said for only doing this up to the epic tier, so don't do the legendary tier and then put quality modules in these, and then sometimes you'll get a higher quality one out than you put in, and you can upcycle the rest. Maybe that's, but you know, we're well too deep in this experiment now for that. So everything else is ticking over nicely. So let's whip up a quick ship design to get us to the shattered planet, because of course we will need. We're not going to go to the shattered planet, of course, that's insane. We need to start making the trip from the solar system edge to the shattered planet to get the Promethium. But first we need to make a ship capable of getting to the solar system edge, because we haven't actually bloody been there yet on this playthrough. We've just sort of decided that it's not really important until right now, the moment that we actually want the Promethium asteroid chunks is the point that we are going to start deciding to win the game. So let's whip up a ship. We've got this ugly monstrosity here. Railguns at the front. Now the railguns will destroy anything in its path, so you can just about squeeze them in like this. A turret here would be shot by the railgun, as indicated by the red square. So, but this is fine. This turret is fine. I'm not too sure about the value of having them on the corners like this. If you've got a railgun on the edge, then you can see that that overhang should be enough. And then asteroid collectors, all your basic stuff, you know, all your basic stuff. The only thing we really need differently on this one is we need to make explosives for the rockets, which we were doing anyway on not these asteroid farming ones, on the shuttle ones. But this one was a lot more compact, and the explosives didn't need to go anywhere else. Whereas here, well, now we've got cryogenic labs for a start. And the explosives also need to... I'm going to sneeze. Thank you. The explosives also need to move on to railgun ammo, which is time-consuming to make, but not especially expensive for their damage. Especially 5 copper plates, 5 steel plates, 2 explosives is exceedingly cheap for this amount of damage. Exceedingly cheap. So let's. Well, it is actually already making its way. It's just we're having a bit of a problem. I've made a small boo-boo in this design, in that because the asteroid chunks are going clockwise around here, they're always hitting this set of ice crushers first. So I've put a circuit condition on these to not work until there are more than 10 ice oxide chunks on the belt, to sort of prioritise this side first. Having already filled a tanker with this, and then you can see the first few are just coming in now, and our speed is now picking up, and obviously the faster we go, the more asteroid chunks we collect. We just got to get out of Nalvis orbit, really. Once we get out of Nalvis orbit, we've basically got enough stuff. I've elected to not put any asteroid recycling on this, which might be a mistake. It's just you get so many asteroids, you know, you get so many asteroids, and our asteroid productivity is up to plus 80% even without any modules in here at all, you know, so... and then I still need to finish off what I'm going to do with this. If I need to chuck this away, it's because I'm deciding on whether I need more explosive production or not, but we're chucking away this stuff on this side already, so... This is my starter for 10. The other design decision I made was these rocket turrets to form a line down the middle like this for now, just because you don't want them to overhang too much on the left or the right, because then they shoot things that were never ever going to hit the ship in the first place. So if they form a line down the middle that's roughly the length of your ship, then they majoritarily, not a word, focus their fire in front, which is where the danger zone is anyway. So we'll send this out on a few trips. We'll see what works. We'll see what doesn't work. And also, we may as well finally start abusing legendary asteroid collectors, because on Vulcanus they're not expensive to make with what we've got. Electric engine units are the one thing that I always forget to just keep stockpiling. Like, I've had to do this like 3 times now. Once for the crushers, and then once for the exoskeletons, and now I need them again for the asteroid collector. So I've actually started building a legendary mall here up by the regular mall. Yeah. Everything else is just ticking over nicely. So let's do some testing of this and see how this goes. A few minor changes, nothing crazy at the moment. I got rid of all the excess space platform just to make the thing a bit lighter, because it was very slow. I want it to go very slow anyway for this portion of the trip, the Aquilo Solar System Edge portion of the trip, and then even more so for the Solar System Edge Shattered Planet portion of the trip, because the asteroid density gets so high that by going fast you sort of run the risk of things going badly. I sort of semi-solved this problem with the ice things by hooking these 2 water lines up, just so that the water is shared between them. You still need the calcite, of course, but... And it's a problem that sort of naturally solves itself, just because once you get saturated with asteroids, it's all fine. The legendary crushers, and yeah, and I'll set this off. Let's just set this off on a trip to Aquilo for now. And let's not be too worried about the speed just for this portion of the trip, because this portion of the trip is not a problem. I could set a circuit condition up for this to control the speed based on where we're going to, but I'm not. I'm too lazy. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see these legendary crushers. They are, of course, very good. Don't get me wrong. They have a bigger internal buffer. What else changes? Yeah, have a bigger internal buffer, a larger collection area, a larger collection speed, and more arms. So they are very good. But, by the same token, the further out you go, the more asteroids there are. So, like, you can see that we're just tossing half of this over the edge. So what is the point in collecting more asteroids that just makes it these inserters have to work faster? They're very cool, don't get me wrong. I'm not 100% on board with the glazing of this modern this modern affectation of glazing the legendary asteroid collectors. Ding. So, once we get to the solar system edge and get to the shattered planet, in theory, we will get Promethium asteroid chunks, which need to come off the belt. They only stack to 1. All the asteroid chunks only stack to 1, so you can sort of store them on the belt, and then the belt has a certain condition to turn around. Well, I will. Oh, currently I'm using it as an interrupt, but that doesn't actually... It doesn't really achieve anything using it as an interrupt, as I found out later. You may as well just... Because in the Shattered Planet section of the itinerary, you can add a fly condition, so you don't have to... This is sort of deliberately designed to be an interrupt, you know? This will automatically turn you around once you have a condition here, so you don't really need the interrupt, but I'd never built an interrupt before, so I wanted to experiment with how it worked. We've not actually done this, right? We've not actually researched anything. No, of course, we're still waiting for low density structure productivity 15 to finish. He thinks it's going to be another 51 minutes. So, yeah, let's send this off to test the Aquilo to the solar system edge leg and see what goes wrong with that. Alright, we have a version 2, or 2.1 of this ship, I suppose. It turns out that when you've got... I was running out of ammo, right? Because this yellow ammo, it's strong. When I was looking at the actual raw numbers of it, damage 5 plus 34.2 physical. So what's that? Let's round that up to 40. Turns out the lasers are actually pretty good at destroying small asteroids once you have a decent level of laser weapon damage research. Which we only have up to 9 anyway. This is still quite cheap. We could easily get a few more levels of this. This goes up 70% a time, which is crazy. Asteroids have a very high laser resistance, but the smaller ones aren't as bad. Let's just wait a moment. There's one. The small one only have a 20% laser resistance. They have no physical resistance, but they only have a 20% laser resistance, which in the early game is not great. But these are on 20 plus 74 laser damage. And the main issue really is that they take a lot of power to run. Consumption. Legendary laser turrets. So you know at their spike, 60, this is often going over 100. So in the early game it's not very viable to do this because of just how much power you would need on the space platform. But once you've got fusion power, it turns out that lasers are sort of just the way to go, and this makes things so much easier in terms of defending against smaller asteroids. You don't need to worry about ammo production as much. So we've got the front line here of the lasers. Target priority, small and mediums. We've got a smaller back line of turrets should anything get scarily close, which should just finish off smaller and mediums. I've added a few more missile turrets just to the edges because things were getting a little bit hairy. But again, these are on ever so slightly different priority. So the ones in the middle are going to prioritise the larger asteroid chunks, and then the ones on the edges only need to look at big asteroid chunks that are getting a bit too close for comfort. And then currently these railguns are on huge metallic asteroids only, but we are vastly overproducing railgun ammo. Vastly overproducing it. So I feel like we could, you know, just be a bit greedy and also put big asteroids in this priority filter as well. So here's a big one. Nice. Very satisfying. Very satisfying. And some sort of Promethium priority grab. I haven't quite worked this one out yet. I will do it. What I want to do is I want to set the filters for the 2 edge grabbers to just be Promethium when we're on the way to the shattered planet, which will not be very difficult. I know how to do it. Use a radar. 2 radars, in fact. 1 radar to take the signal from the space platform hub about where you're moving to, and another radar somewhere over here, like possibly like here. Shouldn't be in the way much. And then this will accept that signal, possibly even a constant combinator, depending on probably a constant combinator, because you'll need to turn that shattered planet signal into a Promethium asteroid chunk filter. A big wall around the edge, some extra turrets on the edges, seeing as and running the yellow ammo all the way around, just in case, you know, an asteroid gets a bit too close for comfort. The only reason that should ever happen, if you're moving forwards in a straight line, the only reason that should ever happen is if you destroy an asteroid here, and the RNG spits out the fragments at a weird angle. It's not very likely when you're in motion at speed, but it can happen. It's more likely to happen when you're stationary somewhere, which the ship should never really be stationary anywhere where there are big asteroid chunks. But if you wanted to go belts and braces, then yeah, I'd recommend probably putting more sturdy defences around the whole thing. But as you can see, this is working well. We are on the way to the shattered planet, the solar system edge at least, and get to see the victory screen. So ding! So let's wait for this trip to finish. I got my save files in the wrong order. Once again, I've messed up my save files. I sent this ship to the shattered planet. There we go. That's all I wanted to show you, is I wanted to show you the victory screen. That's the victory screen. Hooray. What happened was, I realise now, no thank you. What happened was is that I sent this ship further on to the shattered planet zone to get Promethium chunks, and it did not survive the trip, basically. So then I redesigned it, but I started the save file from, obviously I needed the ship back, so I reloaded a separate save file and set that ship off, which is what the footage was before. But then of course I realised that this save file that said Solar System Edge was with the old version of the ship. So this version of the ship will in fact get you to the Solar System Edge, but it's not very good at getting you Promethium asteroid chunks. The actual final proper designed version of the Promethium ship is in the episode 21 blueprint book, even though this might be episode 22 and we just didn't make a book last time. I cannot remember. This book is getting a bit out of hand. Probably don't really need it that much anymore. But anyway. The low density structure productivity is also going to hit, ding, also going to hit the level we want. So let's go back to the actual timeline. This is the alternate timeline where we send this ship out to the Solar System Edge. Let's go back to the real timeline where everything worked out for the best. 300% productivity in a foundry making low density structures with 4 productivity module 3s. You know what? Just for everyone's sanity, I think we're past this now. Okay, I think we're past the point of knowing when we've got a legendary egg now. There's 290 of these in here. That's not enough. Of course, we want loads, but I think we're past the point of getting irritated by that noise. Okay. All this needs to make a low density structure is 5 legendary plastic bars. When you recycle a low density structure, you get 1 to 2 plastic bars. But because this has 300% productivity, for every 5 plastic bars we put in, we're getting 4 low density structures out. So those numbers all align. So if we put 100 plastic bars in here and start the system, and we also make this not a logistics chest so that the robots don't steal the stuff. Let's start again, shall we? Stop, Adam, stop. Let's start again. Stop! It's too much. It's, as I say, as you can see, it's too much. It's too much. Right, let's put 100 in here instead. You're beholden to the RNG, of course. Sometimes you'll recycle 50 low density structures in a row and not get any plastic out of it. Sometimes you'll recycle 50 low density structures and you'll get 200 plastic out of it. So it's a good idea to seed this with enough to sort of account for that. 100 is not quite enough in my testing. 300 is totally fine. 300 should be enough for any huge standard deviations of luck to sort of balance out. And as you can see, this is an absolute preponderance of legendary copper plates. Like, this is busted good. We're also spending this time, seeing as we went through all the effort of getting 2,000 automation, logistics, chemical and production science packs to grind through these mining productivity researches. Because these scale much slower than the other ones. You can see we're already on mining productivity 26, and this is only 24,000 science per, you know, it's only going up by 1,000 each time. Like, this is huge news for us, really. We can get so much more mining productivity now, which will be very helpful going forwards. You know, there'll be things like this iron patch will probably actually now never run out. This stone patch will probably now never run out. I really hope this landfill one runs out, because don't really need infinite landfill. Or do you? I suppose you don't technically need infinite landfill because the map does have edges. So technically you don't need infinite landfill, although the number is extremely large. Right. So what do we do with this? What do we do with this? Well, it's a good question. Really, what we do with it is we start a brand new factory on Vulcanus that uses legendary stuff. You know, we just make this again, but we change all the recipes to be legendary, and we make a sort of starter base, sort of almost like New Game Plus sort of style, you know, which is exciting for me personally. Mark II of the ship is going a lot better. Makes extremely satisfying noises, and it will turn around. It's already turned around. It's already turned around. I was a bit cowardly on this 200 number. I've since upped this number. But as you can see, yeah, we got a decent way to the shattered planet and turned around, and we got 718 asteroid chunks out of it. You need 25 to make 10 Promethium science packs, and then filled with the productivity bonuses. So this makes this is 200% productivity, yeah. So for every 25 asteroid chunks, you're getting 30 Promethium science packs. And then once we get back to Nalvis, we'll ask for biter eggs, and we'll do it like that, and then we'll just leave this looping around, and we'll get this research productivity 1 under control, which will also, this uses everything. This uses everything that we have. This did reveal a bit of a gap in that we've never ever really touched the space science platform. I think we rejigged it once when we got advanced asteroid processing just to send some extra calcite down. But really, we could do with upscaling this, and it shouldn't really be that complicated to do that, but for now it's fine, just because the space science is in a backlog and we haven't really used that much. So we did it, folks. It's a brand new epoch. It's a brand new era. We've got legendary stuff on demand. Not infinite, but the copper is essentially infinite, and the steel is then also essentially infinite. The irony, of course, with this is that you need to recycle every single low density structure, so it's quite hard for you to use this process to also make low density structures. But we'll probably just make low density structures the old fashioned way, given that we now have 300% productivity on them. We only need 5 plastic bars, which we can get. Obviously before we were doing it like this, right? We were doing 1 coal is 2 plastic bars, but then this also now has 280% productivity. So we can also get a lot of plastic from not a lot of coal anyway. So we'll make low density structures the old fashioned way, but that's a little bit ways down the line yet. We need to get Promethium science properly sorted, basically, I think. There it is. The ship is back at Nauvis. It's requesting some biter eggs. I am yet to, in this version of the save file at least, find a good way of making sure the biter eggs don't cause havoc on the ship. Should things go wrong, I don't think this is a particularly good idea. Really, you want this at 0. And probably recycling the biter eggs. Probably use a recycler in a circuit condition that says if you're travelling away from Nauvis, or if you're... It's a shame you can't read, like, destination. Like, currently... The planet you're orbiting around isn't one of the signals. You can read moving from and moving to, but you can't read, like, actual... You also can't set requests based on where you are. You kind of, sort of can, by... having just import from. Kind of does it. Sort of in a roundabout way. And then on Nauvis, the biter eggs have... They only get picked up into a chest when this signal is set. We did this for the bioflux on Gleba, so when a read orbiter requests, only pick up eggs and put them in a logistics chest when there is a ship requesting eggs. Therefore you don't just have 100 eggs at all times in here spoiling and turning into biters for no reason. We're ethical biter egg farmers here, folks. We're ethical biter egg farmers. Yes, we could just leave it and just kill biters as they spawned. That would not be a problem. We've got so many laser turrets here. That genuinely would not be an issue. Where is it? Entities. You know, like, that would not be a problem. But if we don't have to do that, then we won't. Right. I'm starting on the beginning of the bus for the... Actually did lose a laser turret there. You'd never get that many spawn at once, is the thing. Like, that was an extreme example. I think a stack of biter eggs turns into 1 behemoth biter, I'm pretty sure. The smaller the stack of eggs, the lower tier of biter it spawns. I think that's correct. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, 100 eggs won't spawn into 100 biters. That would be insane. So I'm starting on the legendary bus. I'm not 100% sure this is a very good way of doing it, but I'm going to try it. So recycle the plastic back in. Put the steel on one belt, put the copper on another belt. You get so much more copper than steel, so we do need to think of something like that. And it might be that we do the unthinkable and we actually overflow the copper into the bin, which sounds wrong to throw legendary copper into the lava, but it might be objectively correct. Also, I thought I would do this on stream because it's very satisfying. Let me first get rid of all of the crappy stuff that we collected through destroying rocks and things. Let's take a whole bunch of cliff explosives and go right into this volcanic peak up here. Oh yes. Factorio ASMR 4 hours. Brackets, white noise, sleep aid. Cozy. Oh man. It's glorious. You know, if you get cliff explosives on Nauvis, then I think this just cheapens the experience here of this, you know. If you just have to bring cliff explosives to Vulcanus and do this like straight away, that's not as fun. This is still exceedingly cheap to do as well. Like, when you click and drag over, it says you're going to use X amount of... I've spoken about this before. It says you're going to use X amount of cliff explosives, but the robots do it in a smart way. So this says 6, but it can actually be done in 3 by using the cliff explosives in certain places that destroy more than 1 cliff at a time. So this says 219, but that is all of them, and it didn't even use all of my 175 robots to do that. So, have you had enough yet? I haven't. I'm going to keep doing this. Plus I need to pad the video length out a bit. Haha, that's not true. That's never true, is it? It's never true. Okay. Alright, that was fun. We used, what was that, about 700? No, that's 200, that's 400. Yeah, we used about half those cliff explosives. We used about 500 cliff explosives there to clear this whole space, which is very nice. Oh, alright, I should actually probably start this research and show you all the labs working in their wonderful sushi belt glory. Oh, and probably put a request for those science packs in the system. And this is already turned around, so that's funny. Go back to Nauvis, please. I guess we should make the circuit condition Promethium science packs is not 0, because you want both, don't you? You want both. You want this is 0 and asteroid chunks is 0. Okay, we'll fix that. That's bioflux. That's not what I wanted. There they are. The black ooze of Promethium science. So these are on 100% productivity and they're on 50% science pack drain. So those 900 science packs will be probably about, what was that, 3,600 science worth. So we'll get a couple. We'll get at least 1.5, possibly 2 levels out of this if we're lucky. My maths probably doesn't hold up there. But yes, look at them go. Look at the sushi. All the colours of the rainbow on the sushi science belt. And this is still only 260, 280, as the Promethium science packs have to permeate all the way around and actually be processed, because this has a 2-minute research time as well. So this science per minute number is half of what we would expect, because the research time is so much longer on this. But as and when the ship comes back from its journeys, we will grind more levels of research productivity, because this is the only thing to do with the Promethium science pack, which, you know, maybe that's a good design decision, maybe it's not, I don't really know. I'm not a game designer, clearly. But that just means we'll get more science per science. which is what we want as we get into this end game grind of mega base territory. Did somebody say 1 million science per minute? No, they didn't. They didn't. Don't say that. Don't say that out loud, okay? Never say that. If it happens, it happens. I'm not promising anything. I don't currently have the heart to throw the legendary copper in the lava, but I don't really see any other way around it. These chests are just filling up so quickly, and in such an unbalanced way. But, nevertheless, that is a decent amount of copper, that is some steel. The molten copper actually needs to go faster than this, I believe. And we're limited by pump speed. Well, we were limited by pump speed until I made a legendary pump, which pumps at 3000. 2.5 times better is generally the rule. 2.5 times better. You know, stack size 48. 48 times 2 is 96, plus another 24 is 120. Oh, the dings! I didn't turn the dings off in this version of the save file. Please, I've had enough. I've had enough. So I was going to put a second one down, but then I realised that if you just do legendary one, it's twice as good anyway. So yeah, this will make stuff for you. I've moved the cargo bay up here so that, you know, this part of the base is all well and good, but it's not really achieving much for us anymore. I've got all of this bloody metallurgic science packs that are now sat around doing nothing because I'm researching. I was doing extra laser weapon damage and physical projectile damage just to get this, you know, doing its thing, and as you can see, it's on its way back. I'm currently doing this manually, by the way. I'm just waiting until it comes back and then asking for biter eggs and then sending the biter eggs back down when I'm done, because I'm a coward, but I will automate it. I will automate it. So I've moved the cargo bay over to this side. I did do that thing I spoke about last time. I hooked the cargo bay up to the carbonic asteroid farming, and then when there is less than when there is less than 100 carbon in the cargo bay, we switch these chunks to the recipe that gives you 10 carbon but no sulfur, as opposed to this recipe which gives you 5 carbon and 2 sulfur, because we had loads of sulfur but not enough carbon. The problem with this is that it's now gone the other way. It does work, but it's now gone the other way. But that's fine, right? So now we're waiting on the sulfur. But that's okay, because as long as we're waiting on the sulfur, this will always be on the sulfur recipe anyway. And then this needs to be an ore, or otherwise it sits here forever doing nothing. No carbon or no sulfur. Off you go. And then it's possible we'll get loads of carbon out of this, but we'll use it for something. Legendary tungsten carbide, probably. Probably. Right, yeah, so I've moved the cargo bay, let me say it an 8th time, to make legendary iron plates out of the iron ore that comes down from the this one, and a simple module. Just one of these for now. This is half of what I built on Now Vs for the science, but minus the foundry, because you need legendary copper cables, which you can't get from a foundry because this uses molten copper, and liquids of course have no quality. But we've got so much copper, we've got so much copper, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. So this will be the start of the legendary bus. The end goal for this is to make legendary versions of red, green, probably not military. Oh, speaking of which, military is the science that I never upgraded on Now V. So the The science per minute was going okay up until the point that the military backlog finished, which did not last very long, as you can tell. So I do need to come back here and upscale this to match the 500 a minute production of the others. I just haven't been bothered to do that yet because, as I say, military science is really no big thing. This will need... It's the coal that I'm concerned about. It might not be a problem depending on how plastic goes. It's the coal for the grenades I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about the piercing rounds, obviously. Steel, copper and iron, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about the walls because legendary stone is readily available with a bit of legendary calcite, which we have loads of in the system. It's the coal, and it's the fact that you can only make grenades in an assembly machine Mark III, and you cannot... question mark? Prod module them? Because they are not an intermediate product? Yes. So, it is in fact 10 coal will make 1 grenade. That's a lot of legendary coal for 1 grenade. Which will make you 2 military science packs, and then you can prod module this. So we'll see how it goes, basically. We'll see how it goes. But definitely green, red, blue, probably even purple production science here, and then maybe even utility science here. You know? Because this is not difficult to do. Processing units are not difficult to do. Flying robot frames, batteries shouldn't be that bad. Electric engine units shouldn't be that bad. So basically, we're going to make the legendary science hub on Vulcanus and ship it all back to Nalvis and use it there. Because you have to have... the biolabs can only be built on Nalvis. And we want to use biolabs, you know. The pressure is too high. What's this? Me? A job interview? Sorry, this isn't the banter series. This is the serious Factorio business series. Sorry, the Ricci Mahjong is the banter series. That was a little taste of the banter in the Ricci Mahjong series. If you want to pop over, don't have to. Right, what's going on? I've forgotten. I've just lost my place completely now. Thanks. Okay, the bus continues to grow. This is the legendary stone, so the legendary calcite is going to come out of the cargo bay. This is exactly the same as what we were doing down here for this process, but I'm just moving it up here so it's all in one place. The sulfur and the carbon is coming up here to make the coal. You have to do this in a chemical plant. You cannot do this in a cryogenics plant for some reason. I really don't understand why that is. You know, it's not like, oh, cryogenic plant is only for cold recipes, because in a cryogenics plant you can do literally everything else. You can make plastic, you can make carbon, you can't do any of the oil processing recipes, which I assume is what the rule is. So, like, you can't do any light. You can do the solid fuel with ammonia and the rocket fuel from ammonia, but you can't do the light oil into rocket fuel. You know, there are mostly, whoops, you know, there are. There doesn't seem to be a hard and fast rule for what is allowed, and I'm assuming it's a balance thing. I'm assuming that if you could fill this with productivity module 3s, that you could make so much coal that it would kind of make it irrelevant. But I don't know, basically. I don't know. So this will make a decent amount of plastic. Just 53.96 a second. Just 54 a second. Yeah, that's fine. Just more than a blue belt of plastic per second. For 7 legendary coal. And this doesn't make 7 legendary coal, and I don't think 7 legendary coal a second is very attainable, given that we need 10 carbon a second. It might be that we just need to upscale these, you know. This might just be that eventually we get to the point where this is not really cutting it and we need to do something insanely bonkers like this, you know. humongous asteroid collection process. Oh, the dings, the dings. I thought about how I'm going to get legendary tungsten. Upcycling is the only answer. Tungsten ore goes into two things, tungsten carbide and tungsten plates, both of which recycle into themselves. So, given our mining productivity is now completely off the charts, upcycling seems to be the way to go, and this will be not particularly fast. Obviously just the one won't be, this is just me testing it. We're currently just waiting on the Fulgora shuttle, so Fulgora, we got a decent amount of quality modules and stuff. Most of them are on this ship now, in fact. Yeah, 80 quality module Mark 3s. Once we can get legendary superconductors, this problem... No, come back! Come back! I wasn't ready! No! You buck! Ding! Forgot what I was talking about. Right, once we can get legendary superconductors, we can make as many legendary quality modules as we want now. So don't forget that our legendary quality module farming was upcycling from before we had any decent number of ingredients. Whereas now we don't have to worry about that. But what we do have to worry about is legendary holmium plates. So I have set up just while I'm away and not really thinking about coming to Fulgora anytime soon, some upcycling for electromagnetic plants. Because one electromagnetic plant will recycle into... That was the wrong button. Will recycle into 38 holmium plates, 37.5, which is a quarter of what you need for the recipe. So if we make a legendary electromagnetic plant and recycle it, we will get a chunk of legendary holmium plates. This seems to be the way to go. This isn't running a ratio or at any decent speed at all, it's just sort of there while I do other things, so that eventually I've got a stack of legendary holmium plates which I can use to make legendary superconductors. Obviously we know that legendary plastic and copper won't be a problem. We can just send these ingredients to Fulgora and we can tear this whole bloody thing down at some point soon and just have an area that makes legendary superconductors like that, in the same way that we just have an area here that makes the legendary recyclers. And I found a use for the interrupts. I finally found a use for the interrupts. So you may remember before I was complaining that I had to send the Fulgora ship backwards and forwards between Nauvis, Fulgora, Vulcanus, Nauvis, Fulgora, Vulcanus to get the recycler stuff over to Fulgora from Vulcanus. It occurred to me that we don't need to send it every single time, because most of the time what's going to happen is it's going to get to Fulgora, it's not going to need to drop off any of the stuff, and it's not going to need to pick up any more recyclers. So it makes more sense to make this an interrupt. If we have taken all the legendary recyclers from this ship, then go to Vulcanus to get the stuff. You need to make more. Simple, right? Simple. Because we've asked it to get 2,000 of these. This list here is 50 recyclers. I'm pretty sure I did the maths on that. 20 steel plates. 20 times 50, 1,000. Yeah, I'm not going to do the other three. I'm going to assume that I was correct. So actually that's exactly why I sent it to Vulcanus, is because we were waiting on more legendary recyclers and more legendary quality modules. So now, in theory, the interrupt should kick in. Does it work? Does this work? Why did I not test this? Why has this not worked? Hello? I guess it has to be met like at that exact moment. Is that what it's doing? It's just I can't see it because it's currently travelling to Nauvis. I don't know. I'll test this. If you know if this is working or not in the comments, let me know. But it was working before. I thought it was working. No, in theory it should just be going to temporary Vulcanus unload. Conditions: legendary recyclers equals 0. Then maybe I should tick this. God knows. God knows what's happening. So we'll upscale this to get the legendary tungsten ore, which we'll use for... Yeah, that whole thing was just a long way of saying that I'm going to get legendary tungsten carbide too. And tungsten plates. Because we also need legendary tungsten carbide for both speed module 3s and legendary big mining drills and foundries will also go super hard. Okay. So let's get all that stuff sorted. Expand the bus a bit more. A bit of testing. Turns out that this is a pretty good way to do it. Side load fresh tungsten on, or whatever you're doing really. This design works for anything you want to upcycle really. And then a stack inserter, stack inserters here for common and uncommon, just to sort of free the belts up a bit, because they're coming in 4 stacked, but they're leaving single stacked. There is another way to do this, but it doesn't really work with quality because, I mean, you could probably get it to work with thinking about it, with a lot of rigmarole. Because if you do this... Am I not over there? I thought I was over there. If you do that, then worst case scenario, the stack inserter picks up one single... So the stack inserters work differently from the... Let's see if we can get this to happen. It's doing it now, in fact. It's picked up 11 common ones, but it won't swing. Unlike a bulk inserter will wait for a period of inactivity and then go, right, that'll do, and swing. A stack inserter will never do that. But I suppose, and I'm ad-libbing this on the fly, so please forgive me here. I suppose if you hook up a arithmetic combinator to it and you tell that to set the stack size of S, and you set up a rudimentary clock so that S lowers by 1 every quarter of a second, then it will do that. The value of that is questionable, but definitely something that I will test. Because currently, yeah, like worst case scenario, 1 legendary tungsten ore goes into the chest, then this stack inserter picks it up and never ever finishes swinging, because by the time it's got a full stack of them, 16, this is full of everything else, and it will never ever pick up anything else. So that's sort of what this does. It just frees up spaces on the belt because it's coming in at 4 times the speed it's leaving. This side loads it onto one side, this side loads it onto the other side to make sure that the outputs also have some space, and then belts and braces just don't put too much of it on the belt either. And then just a catch-all at the end, a couple of recyclers catch-all at the end to, just in case, because for the same reason, if this is always full of common, there's a chance that the higher rarities slip by because these inserters are prioritising filling up the recyclers with the recipe it already has, which is of course recycling common tungsten ore, and it might not pick up a different rarity. Sometimes it will, but sometimes it won't. Sometimes a high rarity one will just slip by. There's one, look! Ah! So this isn't the slowest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know? That's me reading a book. Sorry, this isn't the banter series. Sorry. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, alright, let's leave editor mode. And don't save. And yeah, we've got the plastic in. I shouldn't have demolished what was making the petroleum, to be honest with you. That was very silly of me. I should have left the petroleum build up and running. I would have needed it to make the plastic. Okay, we're coming up to the hour mark here, so I need to hurry up. I thought this was going to be a short one. I didn't think I'd done that much, but it turns out I just waffle on for ages about absolutely nothing, turns out. And here we go. So the red circuit build is exactly the same as the one on Now Vis, but just with the correct number of electromagnetic plants making copper cables. This makes some processing units, and then I've put back in the module production, productivity module 2 production, because we were relying on those going to Now Vis to make the productivity Mark 3s, because we don't want these legendary eggs spoiling. We're back up to 236, even though I sent a whole bunch of productivity modules to Vulcanus. See, like there's like 20 there. Haven't done it in this. That's just laziness. 8 there, 3 more there, 4 more there, etc, etc. So we're in a really good spot here now. We're in a really good spot. These productivity numbers just compound so quickly. You know, 125% extra green circuits going into 125% extra red circuits, going into 235% extra blue circuits. You know, like, you look at this number and you think, oh, three productivity processing units per second, oh, 9 electronic circuits per second, and then you do the rate calculator on this. This is 10. So this is already 3 times as much as just this. Processing units will go into a few things, but mostly just the rocket launches. I don't know what to do about the rocket launches. I might just say that rocket launches are so cheap that I will use legendary stuff to make rocket units, even though they don't do anything. Rocket part, legendary rocket part, just doesn't... is pointless. Would in fact be a waste. But it seems like more of a waste to have a completely separate area just making common quality stuff, you know? Like, we may as well just repurpose this. It's free at this point, right? So we're in a really good spot here. We're in a really good spot. So next time I want to get legendary science packs done. Some legendary science packs done. The irony, of course, is that we didn't spend a long time. We spent some time on Now Vis upscaling this, and then now on Vulcanus we can do this, but we can do it 6 times smaller, because a science pack, legendary science pack, is worth 6 of itself. So, you know, we can get to some... we're going to get to some pretty silly numbers, at least in the first 4 science packs, quite soon. What we'll do with that, I'm not sure. Steel plate productivity, maybe. More low density structure productivity, probably not, but, you know, it's doable. We may as well use this huge backlog of metallurgic science packs, and then we can save some productivity modules. Processing unit productivity is probably a good shout. You know, because we can just stockpile the interplanetary science packs in high numbers. We don't necessarily need to make them in high numbers for a little bit. We can just get away with stockpiling them in high numbers and then using them as and when. The Gleber one is obviously the issue, which is funny because the Gleber one is kind of the one you want. You know, you want more asteroid productivity. Research productivity is pretty irrelevant to upscale these sciences. But we'll do it because we just want to make everything legendary. That's going to be the end goal. Right, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more broadcasts from Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Other than that, take care. Oh, big stretch. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.